Ready?
Hello everyone, welcome to Agile Transformation Series 3-part webinar. Today is the part 3 in this series. Today we shall cover part 3 of the webinar series, and our presenter, Mr. Jay Singhal, who is an Agile Enterprise Coach and Trainer, is going to cover this last part of the series. Jay Singhal has 24 years of IT experience, and for the past decade has been helping many enterprises in agile transformation. His focus is mainly on Scrum, XP, Kanban, and Lean. He is also a trainer on many professional certification courses like PMI-ACP, Scaled Agile Framework, etc. Jay has authored many books and one's available on Amazon are Future of Scrum and Solving Problems the Agile Way. At this point, I would like to hand over to Jay. Please type your questions in the chat window and we shall address them later. Thank you.
Thank you. This is Jay, and today we will be covering the third part. So in the first two parts, we covered some of the frameworks and the initial challenges and understanding. Today, let's cover the learning objectives for the part 3 of Agile Transformation webinar. So at the end of this webinar, the participants will be able to understand what we expect from Agile. So again, Agile Manifesto came around, we discussed that. We also discussed Agile principles. And now, the industry built up some expectation, which is natural. And then we started, introducing Agile transformation to different industry levels and starting to see our results. So we'll be looking at where we are currently, what we are getting at results, and what are the gaps in our journey to agility. So again, the participants can analyze. We'll be analyzing and looking at our current projects to assess these gaps and some of the studies that we have brought in from what we have observed at our clients, and also from the various input that we have collected over our training sessions on various implementations of various frameworks and agile methodologies. We'll be looking at those as well. And also, as participants, you'll be able to identify the need of leadership focus and what we need to do as leaders to bridge the gaps between what we want to finally achieve and where we are currently. Also, we'll be listing some of the advantages of agile transformation, and this will be again with the leadership focus. The participants can recognize the impact of frameworks on product development. Again, what is the impact of frameworks and what is the impact of leadership and so forth. So we'll be looking at the impact of frameworks. We will revisit Agile Triangle to understand quality perspective to reduce the cycle time. Also, we'll revisit risk management to reduce cycle time and how it impacts value delivery to the customer early and frequently. Also, the participants would be able to list and discuss at least 2 of the XP practices in software development. In addition, the participants would be able to list some of the next steps that we need to take as leaders. So again, we are actually providing you this webinar to really open the door for you to achieve what you can and be what you can be to really drive innovation and really achieve your dreams through agile development and agile transformation. So let's get started. So what do we expect from agile? Well, we know that the way world works is messed up. We realize that for last 2 decades, agile transformation has been in place, and especially after 2001, it actually became prominent and various agile frameworks and methodology evolved. So we need to look at, okay, what we expect. The first is a need for early and continuous value delivery to customer. Customers should not be left hanging. So the customer should be able to look at it, okay, I need to see, I'm investing some funds, I'm trying to get my ROI, and the vendor is providing them the software. And in the past, it has been mostly waterfall or iterative development. Still, uh, the shortest delivery was at a quarterly basis, as we saw, using RUP and some of the prototyping methods or iterative development. Now, how can we make it better than that? So again, those were some of the challenges. There was a need, and agile, it's an expectation that using agile processes and methodologies and frameworks, we'll be able to quickly respond to change. Now, in the past, many of the contractors would underbid the contracts, hoping that they would recover heavy profit through change. And change management system, the change control board used to be set up, and it was not really beneficial to the customer because there was hefty price tag on each change that the customer would request. And we know that the only constant is change, which meant that the customer was always losing. Also, through agile, we expect to give customers value, and a working software is the only measure of progress as we understand by the supporting principles. So again, at the end, we want to deliver value to the customer as a working software, as a product, service, or result that the customer can directly use and derive benefit from. We want to deliver to customer on demand, and this demand is not an iterative cycle. We want to deliver on customers' demand, when they want it, how they want it, and so forth. Understanding the context in which the customer lives, understanding the technology and the environment they breathe and live in, and then deliver those values. Also, we want to make sure that the delivery has optimal quality. And optimal quality is of essence because if we build in quality, it actually not just helps us retain customers, it also helps us, you know, build a brand in the market. It also helps us innovate at a higher level. It also reduces waste within the system. It also reduces repetition and rework. So we are able to give out next level of products. We are able to focus on innovation to identify what the customer needs, and we are able to seek more needs that the customer has and provide the solutions to meet those needs. Thus, we have more chances of expansion because we are providing quality. And yet value that we provide should be at minimum cost. So that means we are looking at not just innovative products, we are looking at innovative ways of building those products. So as you see, there is a picture of iceberg, which identifies that what we see on the agile is just at the surface, what we are really seeing in agile transformation today. And really to explore what that agile transformation can truly deliver us, we have to dive deeper. We must give time to dive deeper. We cannot just be spectators as leaders and just watch, okay, this is the real mass of iceberg. No, there is a lot more to it. It is said that 90% of the iceberg is actually underwater. So same thing is true with agile transformation. Time and again, we have seen that what people are trying to get benefit means they're hardly scratching the surface of agile transformation and the ability to deliver optimal value and optimal quality at minimum cost. So what do we get from agile currently? What is it that we are able to achieve? And we looked at the picture of that iceberg to realize that agile is, has tremendous potential, and we can achieve a lot more with that agile philosophy and mindset. Yet at the same time, we ourselves are the limiting factors. Surprise, surprise, we are the enemy in our own progress. So we really need to change the way we are, looking at things. So let's look at what are we getting so that we know where in our journey we are. So as we are going through the transformation and taking our journey to be more agile, we are looking at frameworks that work through iterations and cadence. We know that XP, Scrum both use iterations. As Scrum calls it sprints, Kanban is based on cadence, and they are looking at MMF, MVP, minimally marketable features, minimally viable products. Some people call it minimum uh, valuable product, and so forth. So again, there are different. The same acronyms have been expanded differently by different authors. In reality, at the end, it is the working software, and working software is being delivered through iterations or on cadence levels. Again, there are some lag, means instant feedback is not being currently explored. Also, ability to respond is limited within the iteration cycles. Uh, so at the iteration cycle boundaries is where we are looking to respond to change, not within. So again, that still introduces a lot of rework. It still introduces a lot of need for alignment, and the context gets lost even there. So it is important to keep that context alive and prevalent, so that we can proactively address it. Delivery of value. So that we are doing is offers in iterations and cadence, depending on the framework that we are using or the methodology that we are using. And sometimes it does not map to the user behavior. So again, we are delivering features and user stories uh, rather than delivering behavior-driven factors to the customer in working software. So we are not looking at end-to-end at times, and that alignment is either delayed or the context is built much later in the development cycle. So it's after iterations we realize where we have delineated ourselves and we try to recoup, and guess what has happened? A lot has changed in the meantime and the customer may lose interest. So again, even though with a shorter time scale, our minimum viable product that we are delivering, MVP, is not well aligned to when the customer wants, and that period of time factor has a negative impact on our delivery and customer satisfaction. Also, we are looking at stories to complete user tasks. So again, these are not the development tasks. Developers may be doing analysis, doing designing, and so forth. But these are the user tasks, that the various activities that the user performs. So stories, they provide value, no doubt, and they help us complete some of those, help the user complete some of their tasks, but not meet the end goal. So again, how do you align in a cyclic fashion to ensure that the product, result, or service that is being delivered to the customer is meeting their end goal as well? So also, currently we see that agile frameworks, they are built around rules instead of principles. They are looking at values and identifying that you need to ensure these rules are followed. And when principles are being followed, then there are no process or rules that fully support them, and they're left hanging. It's like, you got to deliver the best product within the minimum time, at minimum cost, and the minimum resources, and deliver maximum ROI. Just stating that as a principle or as a vision is not sufficient. There is a lot more to it. Focus on delivering value, serialize it, and so forth. So again, there are a lot of principles. They play essential parts to deliver value which is of quality and is given in minimum time with minimum cost. And we are still just looking at the frameworks and trying to just meet the rules that these frameworks comply us to meet, and sometimes we are missing out the boat in that process. Incomplete mapping of quality. Now there is an extrinsic factor and then there's an intrinsic factor. Intrinsic factor is that the user has a specific needs and quality is conformance to requirements. So when we look at what the user needs are, then the quality is actually mapping down to those requirements. So to provide an optimal value, we need to make sure that intrinsic quality is attained, while we are looking at extrinsic quality at different framework level, where we are looking at definition of done that applies across all the value delivered items. So all the backlog items, whether they are user stories or features, or we are looking at initiatives even at the product level, we are looking at definition of done and seeing how they map to the intrinsic quality of the product. And sometimes that mapping is incomplete because and sometimes frameworks say, okay, you've got to map it to objectives, and before you know, we have gone into comprehensive documentation arena where they don't really make sense from the product delivery perspective. They are more like schedules and milestones. So we need to differentiate those very clearly and keep our definition of done based on the user needs, and help them transition to that intrinsic quality where they are looking at delivering the end value. Value with minimizing waste while overloading resources. So again, that's what we are doing. We are actually looking at the focus of lean has been not on all its principles, but on the first principle, which is the very basic element, reducing waste, identify waste and eliminate waste. And this is where everyone is focusing on, not realizing that by doing that, they are barely, barely lean, but it is just being identified as a lean criteria. And time and again, it has been proved in the production environment that many lean organizations, when they have tried to go and implement and work with Toyota uh, supply system support, at that time they have realized that they are not really lean. They have only been looking at that single factor to eliminate waste, identify and eliminate waste. So focus. So why, where we are in Agile? So we are looking at, okay, here we looked at what do we get from Agile currently, what are the results, but at the same time, where are we in our journey? How far have we traveled? And again, the focus has been on frameworks instead of people. People are most flexible resources. Even though Agile Manifesto says individuals and interactions over process and tools, unfortunately, most of the frameworks and methodologies out there, they have been more process oriented and tools oriented, and have ignored the development of people and their interactions, promoting teamwork and respect for people. So again, those aspects have been sometimes even stated in words, but when it comes down to really practicing it, it has been observed that that has not been the case. Even some of the teams that we have found that they were saying that they will have a bar, and when we entered that environment and observed them for a few months, realized that really they have misunderstood the aspect of bar. I mean, sometimes the teams are using the the rugby team showing the haka dance as a way to show that we are better than you, and it's not about proving. Again, bar is not about proving yourself, it's about improving. So again, they have missed out that initial principle. So the focus has been on rules instead of principles, and that has been delineating the teams from delivering optimal value with optimal quality. The focus has been too much on waste instead of value delivery. Again, people are looking at how do they make the processes efficient instead of making the delivery efficient, shortening the cycle time and early release time and early delivery time. So focus has been more on a fast instead of quick delivery of value. So when some people hurry, they are actually scrambling. As we have observed, Scrum teams and uh, Agile teams and even Scrum XP teams and many other Agile teams, Agile pods, when they are starting their Agile development, because again, software development, they are looking at iterations, they're looking at planning, and they are like in a hurried mode. They are under the time pressure. Well, time box is important, yes, very important. But unless you understand the principle behind time box, you are going to misuse it. And when it gets misused, it's going to hurt everything. It's going to hurt the customer because you're not able to deliver the optimal value. It's going to hurt the quality because that's the last thing that comes into mind. And people who are trying to quickly deliver something are going to have not appropriate level of definition of done, and they say they identify the definition of done to a level that it cannot be met, and find reasons to deliver something in a hurry in every sprint, at the end of every sprint, or at the end of every iteration, or at the end of cadence as well in Kaizen, which has not the required quality, not that intrinsic quality that the customer is looking for. So again, it is very important not to do it in a hurry, but to focus on quickness, which is to do it efficiently and effectively, which introduces a lot more factors as we'll discuss moving forward. What's the result? Because of all these, and we are only looking at four major aspects we have seen. there are more than 20 aspects, but then these four seems to be taking away 90%, and they are having an impact of over 90% to the value delivery to the customer, which should be of optimal quality, and is not able to meet those factors. So it results in lowered expectations. The customer has lowered expectations because in a Scrum team, for example, the product owner comes back and says, I need to have these acceptance criteria met. And the team suddenly looks at that acceptance criteria and starts saying, well, based on where we are, we have to do so many tasks and so forth, and it starts looking at what is going to take. Even though relative estimation is there, team is relatively estimating it based on the how much work is there, how much complexity is there, what is known, what is not known, what is the skill set of the team members, and how do they plan to deliver it, how do they plan to serialize it, keep it in the full model. And when you are looking at so many other factors, the expectation suddenly gets lowered, and the definition of turn becomes thin, and not enough value is delivered, and there is a lack of creativity innovation cycle. Now, somebody will say, what is creativity and what's innovation? What's the difference? Creativity is just an idea, it's just a concept. And innovation is the end product of that concept. So again, you may have a great idea. Hey, I want to build a teleporting device so that people don't have to waste time going through airports and going from one place to another. So that's a creative idea. But then someone else and creates that product. So that's innovation, that they go and make a teleporting device where a person at point A wants to go to point B, and they're able to transfer, uh, hopefully without any ailments or without any discrepancies, a person from point A to point B. So that's just difference between creativity and innovation cycle, and that lacks at times. Repeat of some old issues. Now, when we talk about old issues, these are the same issues that were there in our previous software development frameworks and methodologies. They were all about keeping people not filled with the right context, not being able to deliver quality product, not being able to innovate properly, and not being, and also still causing people to work late hours, burn their weekends, and do repeated cycles because requirements were not well defined at the early on. So again, when the frameworks identifies that, okay, we are supposed to be grooming the backlog, that is one way of saying that the top level item is of maximum value and is most defined. But is it really happening? And time and again, uh, even for some of the good projects we have seen that there are gaps, and the product owner is working very hard with the business owners, is working really trying to get all that information. Yet at the same time, sometimes it's the customer just doesn't know what exactly they want, and the team needs to participate and then also understand that there's a risk involved in the innovation, make proactive actions. Sometimes the teams say, okay, we got to get everything right up front. Well, that actually makes things delayed as well. So there is a just in time and take decision as late as possible when all the information is there. Yes, those aspects are essential aspects from lean perspective. But delaying it further actually hurts the customers more and more. So again, you have to find that perfect balance. So why such discrepancies? So this is an example. We picked it up from what we have observed. Some people say, hey, my framework is solid. It's going to create a wall and there won't be any information draft, and we are going to look at individual pieces and deliver you exactly what you need. We are going to deliver you. So they're looking at agile philosophy and mindset with that individual. So again, this is a case of blind man trying to analyze an elephant. So, but they are blind, so they are looking at different places. So someone touching the stomach of the elephant thinks that it's a brick wall. And from the Toyota production systems, we have analyzed that people have only picked up that specific element in their framework as the main item, and they're looking at that focus. So again, uh, and they're looking at it, okay, so for example, if I'm going through PDCA cycle and I have Scrum framework, then it is a solid way of delivering it, and I should have this. So again, there is some short-sightedness that comes up. Works great for a small project. Let's again look at it. Short-sightedness means they're able to meet immediate goal, but are they able to expand it to meet the long-term goal? That is the key point. So, and we have seen that for past decade or more, when Scrum has seen those drawbacks time and again, we have seen some other frameworks which are at the program and portfolio level, like we have Scale Agile framework, which is from the Scale Agile Inc., and then we have less uh, large scale Scrum, and then we have DAD, Discipline Agile Delivery, and we also have some legacy frameworks. We actually have our own legacy framework where we have combined various frameworks and methodologies to optimize it. Um, but we are, this is coming out when we start observing different frameworks and exercising them in the field, seeing that how they are really behaving. Somebody may be looking at the tail of the elephant, saying, okay, data production systems, let me look how you deliver the end value. And guess what? They're thinking it's a rope. You just have to do value stream and you're done. Just eliminate the waste. Guess what? It's not just about it. Eliminate waste is just one of the principles of lean. There's a lot more to it than being lean. Somebody is looking at the trunk of the elephant, and again, elephant here is representing Toyota production system, and they're saying, oh, it's a big snake, maybe an anaconda, it's a huge snake, and so forth. So that's what they're thinking. So they are like thinking, okay, if I just have to have a cadence in Kaizen, and I deliver on cadence and focus on MMF and MVP to deliver value, well, yes, the elephant's trunk is very good in lifting up, uh, big wood logs. And that analogy, that metaphor can be used to describe like it is very easy for teams to transition from waterfall or iterative model to agile. Yes, but then does it really deliver value at the end successfully with the optimal quality and minimum cost? And there are some challenges Cadence also has in delivering those values. Somebody could be looking at the trunk of the elephant, and again, elephant represents data production system. So again, that particular mindset of TPS, they're looking at it, and they're saying, oh, it's like solid, it is a trunk. So I'm gonna just start using practices. I'm gonna do peer programming as in XP, or I'm going to do behavior-driven development, or I'm going to do feature-driven development as separate frameworks and use those. So they are looking at those aspects. And then somebody is looking at the, saber tooth, and they're looking at, oh, okay, so I have these, so they are like spears. So I'm going to focus on continuous improvement and continuous delivery while missing out other aspects where how the alignment is happening and how the development is happening initially. So again, reducing the lead time is missed out. Elimination of waste gets missed out. Somebody is looking at the ear of this elephant and saying, okay, this is a fan, so I can just sit, relax, and not worry about the hot sun. Put a shade over me and use the fan to fan myself. Sometimes leadership becomes an spectator, and they are still management level decisions are being made, and their involvement in promoting the most important asset, people, is being missed out. Yes, a lot of words get thrown out, but when we start to look at what's really happening on the ground, it makes a big difference. So we'll be looking at those factors. So why such discrepancies? There is short-sightedness. There are fears. People are fearful that whether it will really deliver values or not, and so their commitment towards agile transformation is limited. Sometimes they have wrong applications. Yes, there are a lot of frameworks easily available online, just like there are a lot of perfect way of leading an ideal life is also online or easily available. Google is a great source for that. Yet at the same time, it's not been applied properly. So again, when, what, and how it needs to be applied has to be taken care of, and that takes some experience, that takes some skills, that takes some intelligence to be able to keep that balance. Sometimes marketing is making promises to the customers and creating a hype out there. Hey, we are doing agile development. We are big with Scrum. We are big with Kaizen. And then, they are trying to get customers using that. But are you really delivering value? Because the working software is the measure of progress. How do you prove that you are able to deliver high value, high quality value, high optimal value as well? And also sometimes organizations are using hype. Means they are still using iterative development, just happen to have broken it in small cycles, and they're using it as a hey, we got Scrum teams over here. We have daily Scrum, and then you attend their daily Scrum, and everyone's talking what they're individually doing and how they are trying to, finish what they have at hand. Guess what? Something's wrong here. What's wrong? Because they are not well aligned, and they do not know where MMF and MVPs are going. They're not looking at the overall value, the whole picture. And then at the same time, people, they do not have any fear for failure. So again, continuous improvement, Kaizen, is limited when people are not looking at quality. They are not looking at ensuring that they are integrating well. They are not looking at other moving parts within the application, and they don't have fear, and they are not cautious. It is maybe an animal instinct, but yet at the same time it is necessary for survival. It promotes that need of urgency to be able to take proactive actions. And when people become lethargic, they become accustomed to the cycle. Before you know, they have fallen into the same old trap as old times. Now, why is leadership participation important? Leadership participation makes tremendous impact. Tremendous impact. Today and in the past, the reason we have had so many failures is because leadership participation has been almost nil, and management had been looking at exploiting resources. Guess what? With exploiting resources, there was a lot of chaotic environment, means chaos prevailed. And people were really having high degree of project failures, or bad projects, or red state projects all over the time, because they were looking at exploiting resources. They were looking at maximizing utilization. And this graph is basically what we actually analyzed from our study from various projects over the last 15 years or so, is where they had been looking at resources, and they were actually in chaotic environment, don't expect anything. But then what's the value delivered, or what is it that you are actually able to attain? If you imagine, this is like negative 20, so about 1/20th of what you could have delivered. So actually they were losing more value. They were having a negative ROI, because they are doing projects that are not going to be successful. And if they are successful, there are some other factors that are coming in, like some processes have been coming in, and people have been burning their nights and weekends. And before you know it, means this is just anti-human if you look at it, exploiting resources and maximizing utilization or optimizing resources. Even with optimization resources, they were able to come to a level zero ground, where they were able to deliver and meet just the bare minimum potential. And this has been the case with most of the successful projects in the past. If you look at it, is when they were not agile. Now, imposing the rules, when agile frameworks came along, the principles came along, and there were various rules, various ways of looking at things, like time boxes, the concept of delivering in an iteration or a cadence basis, and then synchronizing stuff using various methodologies. Also, there were rules associated. So as the rules became more, and the more these rules were not supporting principles, the lower was the value delivery. As the rules started supporting principles, and both were going hand in hand, it started introducing gain. And that's where, when you're looking at frameworks and methodologies, the gain started going higher, 1 to 2 times more gain than previously. So this is where it helps us realize that, okay, people were delivering value, and twice the productivity seems like great. So again, today when we look at SAFe framework, they report 50 to 100% productivity increase, and more engagement from the employees and so forth. Yet at the same time, it's just a framework based strategies that's being used to give some higher level of success to the projects. Are the projects really successful all the time? So again, that particular aspect involves more look into the various processes and how they have been actually been implemented at the organization level, at the enterprise level. So as the processes, and now this is where the very first principle of lean and have been explored to identify the different types of waste and then to eliminate those waste. Just by doing that, suddenly the productivity increased 4 to 8 times. And then even though people were still efficiently, effectively to some level delivering it, the productivity really boosted twice of that. So from 4 to 8 times to 8 to 10 times is where when the team and teamwork came into being and the respect aspect came into being, Kaizen became prevalent, and the Kaizen culture starts building it within the organization. Guess what happens? At that point, if the team is fully supported, the team of teams as well as individual teams, if they are fully supported by the leadership and leadership participating and constantly engaged, then the creativity to innovation cycle, it becomes really, it ramps up, and productivity at that point is 20 to 25 times. We have actually seen this work on some of the projects and programs where the delivery was, the end value delivery was 2.5 months to 3 months, where there were 2 week iterations, and in an expert team, even a 1 week iteration, we were able to see the delivery where a team delivered in 2 weeks an end product that other team was actually and the same team in the past was taking anywhere from 6 months to a year to deliver. And then this is just before the real Kaizen aspect took on. And then when that sense of urgency and the respect kicked in, suddenly they were delivering twice of what they were delivering previously. That's 20 to 25 times. That's tremendous potential out there. So again, these need to really be explored. So leadership really need to focus and support the motivated individuals and trust them. So that's the essential part. When support is there, we see sometimes the trust is not there. When trust is there, support is not there, hoping that things will automatically happen. No, both are essential aspects. So when the rules are supporting principles, let's start from the bottom as we are trying to go through agile transformation. When rules are supporting principles, and that doesn't just mean that the rules imposed by the framework or methodologies. It also includes the cultural factors. It also includes the traditional factors, as how an environment at an organization is doing product development and so forth. When they're supporting the principles, there is a 1 to 2 times productivity gain. That's what is observed. But when the frameworks and methodologies, the philosophy has been embraced, at that point 2 to 4 times. And after the framework and methodologies have been embraced, then if you look at processes and eliminate waste, that tends to further multiply it by 2, so 4 to 8 times gain, productivity gain. And then with Kaizen and teamwork with respect, that is just 8 to 10 times the productivity gain. So again, and these are building on top of each other. You cannot have a framework and methodology without principles being supported. You cannot have processes without the right level of framework and methodologies, the philosophy, agile mindset in place. You cannot have Kaizen and teamwork and respect without giving them the proper process and tools and ensuring that the interaction is good. Now, sometimes people come and they challenge us on this. So it is interesting to look at it this way. Can you put a Chinese, a Japanese, an Indian, Englishman in the same room speaking only their native language and no other language, and being very friendly, very well get to go along and have great leadership qualities, communicate effectively for 2.5 hours on the subject of their interest, and finally hope that at the end they have been able to align themselves to a common interest and understand each other fully. So again, face-to-face communication, when it is given as a priority, it has been done with taking some assumptions. Assumptions are that everyone is well aligned, and that alignment comes from purpose, not from face-to-face communication. We have seen face-to-face communication really fire back at times when people are not aligned. It is better to have a team of individuals who are well aligned towards the common purpose than to have team members who are excelling in their individual tasks and not aligned at all. And the best combination that with Kaizen and teamwork and respect that you get is As the team builds up, actual builds up of specialists, not generalized specialists anymore. And this is where people are able to work together and achieve, amazing results. So, and that's where creativity and innovation comes in. Now, it is not just that we have seen automation for the product quality assurance. We have seen automation within the process itself as how the product is being developed. We have seen automation as how they are working together. We have seen automation at various levels so that the innovation is not for the product, it is very well for the people and for the process. So that's a whole different plane of work. And to be able to get there, you need to have the lower level layers covered. Now, what we must do. So, as leaders, we have responsibility. We need to focus on delivery. We need to also optimize for innovation and Kaizen, continuous delivery and continuous improvement within the environment. Kaizen is a Japanese term that just means continuous improvement. So, what we must do is, of course, sometimes it is best to allow idling of process and even stop to inspect and adapt. So again, PDCA cycle is an important cycle. It's also known as timing cycle. We discussed this in our part 1 webinar. And what happens is sometimes it is important, leaders must understand that it is important to just stop to inspect and adapt how we are doing, how are we going, can we improve, and so forth. When we are looking at continuous and early value delivery, then we also look at how do you hedge the schedule, not demand. People are more interested in building maximum, delivering maximum value at times, while their schedule is not well aligned. It is more important to have a repeated cycle to rinse and repeat and deliver, and continue to deliver on a continuous basis than just to kind of like look at value, and not have a schedule that supports that value delivery. Second, we have to promote sustainable pace. It's all about doing the simplest thing to deliver value of maximum value and maximum quality at the lowest cost, and not just on our demand or the varying demand even from the customer side. So we need to meet that customer need through hedging the schedule. Of course, another aspect is we always see that we are trying to provide highest value. Now, there's a difference between highest value and optimal value. Highest value could be something that the customer thinks that is of highest value, but really, given the price tag, the customer perspective changes. So we have to look at the price tag also. What is it that it takes to build that product, and then find the optimal value based products that we are delivering to the customer. So again, this brings into the factor of going away just from the features to a behavior-driven development, to focus on test-driven development with more focus on automation. And our efforts should be, placed in such a way is being so that they are utilizing not just the processes, but they are also optimizing the way we do work. We often seek patterns. So again, we always look for patterns and seek patterns within our development. How are we producing the software and how it is being developed and so forth. And then substitute these patterns with better processes and better plug-in points so that we have, a faster cycle in which we are delivering the value to the customer. We of course look for serializing the value delivery so as to promote the pull model. So again, push model versus pull model has been covered earlier as well, and the pull model keeps everyone engaged. So again, it helps us engage the customers, it helps us keep the whole team engaged together, it helps us keep everything aligned, it helps us also see that leadership is not just at a higher level where the management at a higher level is involved. Leadership is very much part of the team. It's everyone who's participating in this team is a leader, developing the product, making sure that the quality is high and so forth. Continuous improvement. The Kaizen factor is also promoted because serializing ensures that we are doing piecemeal at a time, and with a bite at a time, we are actually ensuring that the end value is of high quality. So we are serializing it, and then with Kaizen culture, we can expect innovation. And innovation is not just a feature for just a quality or an aspect for the end product. Innovation is very much an aspect for the very process, for the very framework that we are using. We have to transcend a current framework. We have to identify what is it that's limiting a given framework within our environment and transcend it. There is a cyclic alignment that's needed for with instant feedback instead of iteration risks. So again, most of the frameworks out there currently, agile frameworks, frameworks that support agile software development, even at the program and portfolio level, they are looking at iteration level risks, or like say if it talks about PI level risks, and is looking to reduce the risk at the end of an iteration. While the cyclic alignment really needs more proactive approach to seek an instant feedback, and that is sometimes very well seen with Kanban, because they're delivering on cadence, and at the end of the cadence, they're seeking the customer feedback. Yet at the same time, during the cadence as well, customer feedback is sought. Remember the lean principles. So lean principles, they root from the Toyota production system, generally referred to as TPS. The very first principle is eliminate waste. Not the only lean principle. Again, you need to understand, to be a lean organization, that is not the only thing you have to focus on. You have to it is just one of the 7 principles. You have to amplify learning. Means again, knowledge sharing and sharing within the team and across teams, building up community of practices, promoting PMO to become agile PMO, or if not fully agile, at least take them to the level of hybrid agile PMO, hybrid PMO, establishing a center for excellence for agile framework-based enhancements and learning, and ensuring that teams are able to transition over from their current ways of software development to agile-based practices and frameworks and methodologies. So amplifying learning is very important, and also this is not just to focus on how to build the product, but how to build the best product possible at the least cost possible with amazing quality. So that's the goal of amplify learning. It is to promote that Kaizen environment and take on that leadership role time and again. And again, like, leadership is not an hierarchical aspect. It is part of all individuals who are proactively seeking to improve the way they do work. Third principle, decide as late as possible. Decide when you have the right level of information to act upon. Yet at the same time, deliver as fast as possible. So this is to reduce the cycle time. Ensuring that the quality is there. So again, you are looking at ensuring quality at every step, not at the end. Sometimes acceptance criteria based acceptance tests, they are being done either at the end, while test-driven development makes sure that the tests are written first before a single piece of code is written, and for after a test has been written, then the code to pass that test is written. So again, there is a red, green, clean cycle. Sometimes people call it fail, pass, refactor cycle. So red, green, clean. Red refers to fail, because once the tests have been written, of course they are going to fail because there is no code that supports those tests, and then the code is written and the test starts passing. So when all the tests have passed, the code has been written that passes all the tests. At that time, the code is cleaned, which is refactoring, to make sure that the behavior doesn't change, but the code is more maintainable, complies with the coding guidelines and other team set criteria. Empower the teams, and this is very important, that the team should be able to self-organize. They need to have that autonomy. They should be able to manage and be accountable to each other as how they are delivering the value to the customer. Build integrity in and build quality in. So again, always we know that in any application, in any software, the integration points are the weak links. So when we have integration taken care of and quality has been addressed early on, this is done in software development through continuous integration, continuous delivery. It's continuously part of test-driven development. It's also driven through reviews, code reviews, and so forth. So active practices, they address a lot of these. And then see the whole. So this see the whole is not just looking at how a team is delivering value. It is seeing the whole as what is it that we are, all the way from our alignment for a product, from the very vision to the end delivery of the product, seeing the whole process and then identifying how we can optimize and continue to innovate. Now, advantages of agile transformation. Now let's look at these from the perspective as how agile transformation is enabling our customer to get what they seek, yet at the same time our teams to grow and build more innovative products, and how we can make our delivery cycle shorter and shorter and promote Kaizen culture. So we need to know our customer. It is very important to know who is our customer, what is the environment he lives and breathes in, what are their needs, what is the context around those customers, and what can fulfill their needs. Of course, that's dependent on technology as well. We need to focus on results. So again, identifying of value also means, what is of highest value. So we are also not just result oriented, we are optimizing the value delivery to make sure that the maximum value is delivered. There is an 80-20 rule, as we know, where 80% of the functionality is met by the 20% of the software features. So we can look at it from that perspective, identify those 20% features and then provide those features early on to the customer so that they can start deriving 80% of the value. Now, to give you an example, Microsoft Excel, it has a flight simulation software in it. Now, did you know that? Well, just Google it, you will find out. Now, do you use it? Do you have any purpose of using a flight simulation application within Excel? So again, that's not of value to the end customer, but has been delivered as part of the software. That tells you why the price tag is so high, right? Teamwork. Again, teamwork sets accountability in delivering value. Teamwork is all about being respectful to each other, not looking for a blame game. Blame game has to be definitely avoided at all costs. You have to look at what have we learned and how can we do things better. So that's how the teamwork goes together. If the team member is not delivering as per their power value, then other team members should be able to step up and say, hey, are we really up to the mark here? If someone is saying I'm done, then they should be able to meet the definition of done, and the team should know everyone what everyone is working on and how they are delivering and how fast they are delivering and how they can improve the way they are delivering. We should look at the response cycle. So in agile transformation, shorter iterations of plan to check act or Deming cycle, they help us deliver faster. And it promotes Kaizen culture because when teams are working together at a fast short iterations to deliver value, or even cadence to deliver value, there is always improvement introduced through inspect and adapt. They always look at the product, process, people, and say, hey, how can we improve this? How can we do things better? Now, Agile Triangle, we are looking at it again from that perspective, that how we have been delivering value and how Agile helps us deliver value. Even though this particular aspect has been there for almost a decade now, it has been most misunderstood or misinterpreted. Let's look at it, the traditional iron triangle, where the scope was fixed. So the aspect in traditional software development had been in the past is to have a fixed scope and then estimate the time and schedule. How many resources, how many team members would it take for the project team to be able to deliver the product, and what will be the schedule in which it will be built and delivered. Now, this came through an agile iron triangle, and you can think of it as an iteration or a sprint or a cadence, where the cost and scope were set as a definite value, and then they were looking at estimating schedule. So this is where the estimation was fluctuating, and in agile iron triangle, the schedule was the estimate that okay, how many iterations it will take us to deliver it, given this constant cost and scope. And then agile triangle came into being, where the fixed is value, the optimal value that we want to deliver, and there is an extrinsic quality, So, and there was a quality aspect of intrinsic factor and the constraints. Constraints were the iron triangle parameters, the scope, schedule, and cost. Uh, Now, this triangle is seen with respect to Scrum framework, where taking from traditional iron triangle, where scope was fixed and the cost and schedule were estimated. In a sprint, the cost and schedule are fixed, while the optimal scope or optimal value is being sought. So that's the estimation. People pick up the top level backlog items and say, okay, in a sprint, what is the maximum value that we can deliver? Now, in Agile Triangle, quality is driven through definition of done. So how reliable and adaptable a product is, and that's the intrinsic quality. While the extrinsic quality is part of the optimal scope that can be delivered. And again, the constraints were scope, schedule, and cost. So those were fixed items. So that's how Agile Triangle takes it. Yet at the same time, it brings in a separate, different mindset of identifying, hey, wait a minute, how are we going from this intrinsic quality to extrinsic quality factors and back and forth. So Agile is all about risk management. We looked at that in our previous webinar as well. Just looking at it that in Agile transformation, when management challenges and says, hey, how is this transformation effective? It's all about risk management. It's making sure that we are not building something that's going to be of waste. We are not investing in something that doesn't deliver value. We can divert our funds to something that delivers value. And how it is being done, as you can see, is through iterations or through cadence. And analysis, design, develop, test. It actually has been piecemeal. Again, there is a concept of product development flow and piecemealing it to make sure that the pull aspects are there, and there is a WIP limit within the team, and the team works together to self-organize its work, how it's going to build the product and deliver it. So concept of to cash is an aspect that the team owns, and then the team of teams, which is more on the project, program, and portfolio level, they work together to ensure that all the teams are well aligned to deliver minimum viable product, which still provides the optimal value to the customer. So Agile, the risk is managed through rolling wave planning, as we are seeing. At the end of every iteration, there is, people stop what they are doing, they deliver the value. There is a review is held where the product is reviewed and feedback is gathered from the customer and other stakeholders. And after that, inspect and adapt to the process and people cycle happens, where people look at Kaizen factors. How can we do things better? How can we deliver faster? How can we reduce our production cycle and so forth? How can we become more efficient? What better strategy can be used, or what better tools can we use? What are the new tactics that we can employ? Maybe we want to do test-driven development. Maybe we want to do continuous integration. Okay, continuous integration is constantly going on. Maybe continuous delivery is a way to deliver based on demand, and this is customer demand we are focusing on. So again, so many factors play role, and then the planning, incremental delivery is done in every iterations, while in the beginning of every iteration there is rolling wave planning. So we are looking at planning and then identifying what is being well defined of highest value at the top of the backlog, so that we can start delivering only those piecemeal and not spend our time for something way down. So again, we are looking at first 2 to 3 iteration worth of backlog, and then picking up from the top level what we can deliver in each iteration. And we covered that in our previous webinar, that you use velocity as a factor to determine from previous sprints to determine how you're going to deliver in current sprint and so forth. That is a basic level. Now teams are transcending that mindset altogether. They're looking at, okay, we looked at how fast we can deliver, and we think that we can deliver maybe 1.5 times the velocity that we delivered in our last sprint. And they go ahead and they pick up 1.5 times. Sometimes they just like to call it, a stretch, sprint stretch value, and they want to say extended value. At times they use different wordings around, but really what they are doing is they're really picking up realistically what is it that they can deliver now after introducing some improvements that they see they have been successfully able to exercise. in previous sprints or even ready to exercise in current sprint and are very confident of its delivery. Extreme programming, XP overview. So this is what we discussed last time, that we'll be covering some more on XP practices. We covered the test-driven development where not a single line of code is written before the test is written, and after the test, when you run the test, they all fail because there is no code to support it. Then the code is written to help the test pass, and after the code is written and all the tests are passing, then it is refactored. It's also known as red, green, clean cycle. This particular way of working, and test-driven development is all about drive-through test, and then there is an aspect of acceptance test-driven development, ATDD, which means that you write acceptance tests which are mapped to the acceptance criteria for a user story, for example, and then when you have code that's passing those acceptance tests, then after that you do refactoring, and that's ATDD. Pair programming is where two people come together, two programmers come together to do coding, maybe a programmer and a tester, they come together to do the coding together, programmer and a customer comes together, and they work for an hour or so. So that's pair programming. Refactoring is not changing the behavior or how the code works, but it is well aligned, it is maintainable, it has the required comments, indentation and so forth. Keeping the design simple. Simplicity is a game. The amount of work not done is essential. So always build the simplest thing. No more gold plating, no more scope creep aspects being introduced. And as you're doing the development, the team takes collective ownership, and they are looking at some coding standards to comply with, so that everyone is able to support that collective ownership together. Everyone is doing continuous integration. So as soon as all the tests are passing, red, green, clean is done, then they are merging the code into the mainstream and building it to make sure that everything is compiling successfully, ensuring a soak test suite is running and an automation regression test is running, so as to make sure that yes, the new functionality may be working, but we have not broken any of the previous functionality, while continuing to do all this at a sustainable pace. 40 hours a week, that's what, 8 hours a day, doing it at a pace which is not being rushed, but just being made more effective and efficient. And then the whole team looks at it and makes sure that the customer level testing is done. Releases are kept small to make sure the feedback is there, so that the release iteration cycle is small, and then they are able to do that. Planning is done through planning poker, so that's like the planning game. There is an estimation planning game, another factor, where the team pairs up and then go and they look at planning aspect, how they plan to deliver a user story, and they come together and share it with the whole team. That happens during the iteration planning session, mostly during the second half of the iteration planning session. So it takes courage. It takes a lot of communication within the teams and with the customers to make things happen, and engaging the stakeholders. Simplicity is at the heart of it, and ensuring that the feedback is provided and respect has been maintained. So how's your Agile transformation? See, frameworks in Agile are like knives. They're dangerous in the hand of a rogue and lifesavers in the hand of a surgeon. So you really need to make sure that when you are going for Agile transformation, you have the right level of coaches. Coaches who have proven track record. Coaches who know what they're doing. Coaches who are not just knowing the rules and the principles, but actually know how to implement it and how to seek out the patterns to help you optimize and your transition and make the transition as seamless as possible. So on the left, this picture is like how traditional software development had been delivering. The customer has explained this way. Again, they want a swing with 3 boards on it. They want as many features as possible. But then what the project manager normally understood was that they want a swing tied on the branches, and they need not be the same branch. So guess what? This is definitely not going to work, because it's going to hit the trunk of the tree at every moment, and the customer is going to be a sick customer in no time. But now how the BA, the business analyst, they explain it like, oh wow, this swing is so comfortable, it's like a couch swinging in with the tree. And now the customer, the way the customer is built is like that of a roller coaster. And what has been delivered is coming out directly from how the PM understood it, because PM wants, and every time they saw the sick customer, they call it defects, and then they decided to break the very trunk of the tree and support the tree on both sides. I guess that's what it gets delivered. And what the customer really wanted was just a tire hanging from one of the branches so they can swing. They only needed a swing tire. So coming to Agile, as the transformation happens, what the customer really wants is just a tire on the swing coming down from what waterfall showed us. And what the market trend then was, it was saying, hey, even in a tough environment, we are going to have a swing, no matter what the environment is. And the customer, the way they explain is still the same way as they were explaining, yet at the same time, product backlog has groomed. It comes out with a couch, as they are grooming and picking up items. What the customer could actually afford was barely close to what the market was training at, and what was delivered in sprint one is just a rope. And normally the team say, hey, customer, you first hang and swing, and the customer could very well say, wait a minute, could you just put a tire on it? Okay, the team says in the next sprint we'll give you a tire hanging on it, and the customer says, wait a minute, instead of tire I might want a swing. So the customer is built for a swing, the swing is delivered, and this is what the customer finally desired, because the only change in software development, the only constant in software development is change. And the customer requirement may change from the tire to a swing, and that's exactly what gets delivered and is built. So Agile actually helps us achieve what the customer really wants, give them the optimal value. And those wants may change, but not really at a high cost or low quality. So we have to look at it and do it in an expedited cycle. So right way to do Agile. We at Agiliants, we have Agile coaches here who have been in the field working with our various customers and clients, and they can help. So we are here to help, and we have repeated our results time and again. Some of our teams are getting amazing results. The program level delivery for the products is amazing for the customers. Again, there is a time and consistency that we produce great results. Our trainings can also give you favorable wind to fly high. Our trainings are given by the coaches who are practitioners in the field, and they bring you their real life experience, and they actually understand your environment to help you identify what your next step should be. So we help you on those aspects. Time is always of essence, and as leaders, you know that you must act. If you become a spectator, you get left behind, and before no time, you perish in chaos, and you're wondering why everyone is so happy around you and you are so grumpy and sad. So these are the next steps we encourage everyone. So you can register for our publicly offered courses. We also provide online courses or on-site courses and coaching. So if you want to take any of these courses at your site, this is a link to our site on Eventbrite, where you can see the listing of various courses that we are publicly offering. Agile Bootcamp we highly recommend, because that's the very next step after this webinar. So take to your next levels. We have kept it really at cost so that you can afford it easily. We have also kept a Scrum Bootcamp that transcends Scrum. So this is not just telling you about Scrum framework. Scrum framework we cover within the first initial hour or two, and then afterwards we help you transcend the very Scrum framework to see how you can leverage most out of that framework and go beyond it. Then we have Agiliants Leadership Certification course. So this particular course is to optimize strategic alignments. We talked about the cyclic alignment of our strategy, all the way from concept to delivery, from initiative to our branding of products and the product suite, and also promote intrinsic and extrinsic innovation. So this is not just building innovative products, but having innovative development as well. So Agiliants Leadership Certification course covers that. Now we also offer many of the SAFE courses. We also offer PMI-ACP certification courses, boot camps as well. So SAFE Agilist certification helps you do leading SAFE, which is mainly driven towards executives, program managers, and coaches who want to really know about SAFE. And then there is a SAFE practitioner certification course, again for teams and for Scrum Masters, product owners. They can learn a lot through the practitioner certification courses and get to know some level of coaching aspects as well. SAFE Art Training and Certification Bundle is there are two types of bundle. One is for less than 50 people, up to 50 people. And we help come to your organizations, give you art level training, help you trigger start an agile release train. Art stands for agile release train. And then there is another bundle that goes from 51 to 125. So if your program has more than 50 members, but and then we can help you with art related quick starts as well. Agiliants agile framework, it transcends safe. So again, this particular framework is much beyond safe. It helps you understand where safe is, what its bottlenecks are, and helps you transcend it and really seek the leverage. So when we were talking about 8 to 10 times and 20 to 25 times productivity gain, so we are not looking at 50% to 100% productivity gain. No, we are looking at anywhere from 800% to 2500%, 2500% productivity gain, and it helps ramp teams as well. So at conclusion, at the end of the webinar, you are able to understand what we expect from Agile, distinguish our expectations from what we are really getting, analyze your current project to assess gaps in our journey to agility, and identify the need that the leadership must be engaged. It needs to focus, and where it needs to focus, and how can we bridge the gaps between our expectations and what we are getting. And we looked at some of the advantages of agile transformation, recognize some of the, and now you are able to recognize the impact of the frameworks on product development, the various prevalent agile frameworks. You are able to revisit again, and you can identify and understand the quality perspective to reduce the cycle time. Now you can also discuss risk management to reduce cycle time aspect, as well as how with the reduction of cycle time, you are able to manage risk better. You can list and describe at least two of the XP practices in software development. So we covered all the XP practices in essence, and you should be able to list two or more of those. Now we also listed some of the next steps that you can take and you must take as leaders. Enroll for training courses and call us in so we can provide you on-site training, so we can do a combination of on-site training and coaching to help you get past your current limitations. Steps to train pre-deal and SEO is on this particular page. Capture the information. Today the date is actually incorrect over here. It should be March 10th 2016, and date completed should also be March 10th 2016.